a software platform, okay? So we are a SaaS, software as a service, okay, in this SaaS category, and we are helping companies to streamline their ESG and carbon data management in one platform. One platform is key, okay? So think about us as the kind of ERP/business intelligence for extra financial. I'm hearing some other voices, or is it me?
It's a different voice.
Okay.
Yes.
Okay.
It's Friday.
Yeah, so yeah, helping you, okay, so I'm a software vendor helping you to make the best decisions when it comes to your extra financial move. You know, it's all about tracking, disclosing, and acting on your ESG and carbon data.
What sets Sweep apart from other carbon accounting software?
Yeah, we are going beyond, so carbon management, okay, from end to end. So when I'm talking to you about disclosing, you know, being compliant as well, and just making sure you are taking the right action to reduce your carbon emissions, this is key. And what's very different about us is that our DNA is pretty different. When I say we, it's because my co-founders and my core first engineering team, we are coming from a first company that we've built as well, our first startup. We are second-time entrepreneurs. And it was all about business intelligence, business analytics, already in the cloud, okay, in a SaaS environment. And we are basically applying, and that company has been acquired by Zendesk years ago. And we are basically applying our savoir-faire, okay, about data, that data platform, that granularity of data, that auditability of data, okay? Think about what's coming in your auditability stack. And yes, it's about applying this savoir-faire, you know, coupling this with the right carbon expertise and putting all this in one single platform to really help you to mask that complexity through digital, you know, to oil that collective climate action through digital. I'm so optimistic about what you can all do. You know, we have the solutions already. Now it's just about connecting the dots and what is, you know, best than digital to help you to have this, start this collective climate action. So, yeah, we are that tech strategy in your climate strategy.
Who are your target markets and why?
Who we are talking on?
Target markets.
Target markets. Okay, so we operate from Europe at the moment, Paris, London. We have customers worldwide. We have inbound leads from the US without a real go-to-market here yet. We've started in Europe because the customers, our customers, are absolutely demanding because of the current regulations, because of what has always been asked them. So they are very, they are expecting lots from our data platform, and it's great actually to learn, you know, to learn it the hard way, I would say. Europe, it's all about precisions of your carbon data. It's all about tracking progresses. So doing that exercise on a very, very, very regular basis, you know, at the scale of your company, at the scale of your extended and shared responsibility when it comes to your carbon emission as a business. So doing this at scale, okay, I'm using the big words of scope 1, scope 2, scope 3 for some of you that understand that, but yeah, it's massively complex, you know, to do that exercise on a regular basis, to track progresses. It's asked already in Europe to do so, so it means that we wanted to choose our battles as techie guys, you know, to make sure we were really throwing our energy in what's being super complex, you know, to address, you know, and put our energy here instead of, if we are able to serve the European markets, we will be able to serve the rest of the world because you all know that in the US it's less demanding, I would say.
Yes.
So yes, qui peut le plus peut le moins in French. Yeah.
So as you can see, Sweep is truly the new frontier of inclusive carbon responsibility and management. What are some of the most impactful solutions that Sweep suggests for its clients? Before suggesting anything, you know, to our customers, actually they know at the end what they need to do to reduce their emissions at some point, you know, because we are working with big retailers, we are working with pharmaceutical industry, with you know our since the beginning, we want to help the biggest emitters, who are also the biggest agent of change, you know. I didn't want to chase my fellow entrepreneurs, digital entrepreneurs, you know, friends, because it was, you know, they are not really emitting so much, okay? So, yeah. And what I can do to help them reduce their emissions is really to have access to their data, their precise data. And when our customers at scale, very large ones, you know, I'm thinking about the L'Oréal, I'm thinking about the you know, even la Banque de France, okay, who are among our customers. When they have access to their precise data points, you know, on a regular basis to understand what's happening from a carbon emission standpoint, they have the ideas. If they are able also to engage all the different stakeholders in that one single platform to collectively understand what's happening, where it's happening in the company. You all have the answers already, as long as you are able to understand what it's come from at first, you know, from a geographical standpoint, what's happening in our carbon emissions at scale, what's happening among our biggest, among our suppliers, you know, who is emitting. But if you are not seeing that, you know, in one single platform, if you are not seeing that, you know, on a regular basis, you know, if you are not seeing it, you can't act. So what we are, before, you know, before telling them, oh, you should do this, you should do that, first, you have a unique business, what's really happening in your business, and then just doing so, it's helping our customers to act, because they know better than us, you know, their business. So this is what we are seeing at the moment, and what's coming with AI, you know, when you can really benchmark at a worldwide scale what's being done in other industries or in your industry. You know, this is the end step, I would say.
Okay, we'll get back to AI in just 1 minute. So we briefly mentioned Sweep has clients in Europe and the United States, right?
Yep.
So how do the challenges of business in both locations differ now that more than ever corporations are being held more accountable, thank goodness, for their carbon footprint?
It's radically different, I would say.
I bet.
Because of the regulation, definitely, because of that little acronym that you've maybe heard about, CSRD, Corporate Social Reporting Directive, you know, and it's all about being in Europe forced as I mentioned already, about tracking the progress that you are making while monitoring your ESG and carbon emissions. It's that I'm proud actually to have started this business in Europe. I'm proud to be in Europe because of the responsibility of our regulators at the moment. I don't want to be that European girl and cliche about yeah, come on, regulation. I love that. But you know, we are living in this. There is an urgency out there. Okay, we are almost screwed, I would say. Okay, so. But with, sorry for that, put that on my French vocabulary. But with the regulators asking us, you know, in Europe to understand our carbon footprint in a precise way, you know, it's an opportunity, actually. It's forcing the actions right now, okay? And by 2025, 50,000 companies will have to report on their 2024 figures, okay? So it's a force for actions. And US companies will be impacted for their European headquarters as well. So that's great, actually. It's accelerating climate actions. It's a force for good, actually, you know, right. This regulation. So you know, my first business, it was it was a transaction business, you know, mostly with lots of US customers. And now I am more in large companies, enterprise world, you know, in Europe. So for me, it's like starting a very, very brand new business, okay? Right. Learning a lot. But yes, I'm proud to see that Europe is leading the way. And fortunately, technology will mask that complexity so that the US companies as well will understand that they can start small, but they can start right now and make it precise, on how they are tracking their progress.
Well, speaking of AI, in combination with your expertise in business intelligence software, what would you say to those of us who are wary of AI and tech being such an impactful solution in climate change?
AI will definitely help, to recommend actions who worked well, in a supply chain. For example, for industries, AI can help, for example, and this is already what we are injecting in our product. AI can help, to recommend the right methodologies or the right emission factors, on top of your business activity data. So it's easing, the process to get it accurate, to get it transparent, to open the books, to help you be much more, in control of how you are, the confidence you have in your data. Okay, so it's a fantastic way to accelerate, the understanding of your climate impact, in both ways. We are talking also about that. It's important for you to know that double materiality, how your business is impacting the world, but also how the loss in nature, for example, and how it's impacting your business as well. You have to be, as CEOs, it's your mandate to understand all this. And you can make the most of our platform. You can make the most of AI. But AI in itself, it's not enough. It's how you are injecting it the right way in the right tools.
And the language that we speak.
Yeah, and the right yes, and how you productize the right climate journey in that technology that companies are using, and AI is accelerating all this. It's a fantastic news.
Yeah. Okay. Well, it seems like tech is inherently disconnected from nature. You just mentioned nature. So can you set the record straight? How is tech directly connected with the wonder and power of nature?
Tech is, today, behind tech you have energy, okay? And behind energy you have nature, definitely. So it's just this. But the way technology today is helping you to understand, for example, your impact on biodiversity. Mm-hmm. When I'm telling you that Sweep, it's all about that ERP/business intelligence data platform, okay, for your extra financial world. It's carbon, it's ESG, but it's also biodiversity, okay? And you already have all those informations in your systems. You have your square meters of, parking, okay, in X geography. So it's technology is also helping you to understand how you are affecting nature as a business, how nature is impacting you as well. So you need technology today to understand that at scale, because as a business you have a worldwide impact at scale, but it can become vertiginously complicated to acknowledge that at the scale of your shared and extended responsibility in all your supply chain, etc. So this is why technology can help definitely to connect all those dots.
Right. We have so many more questions left, but I think this one is ultra important. So you and I have had the opportunity to briefly speak about women leading in the specific C-suite space. Can you share with us your thoughts on the trajectory and challenges of women in the workforce?
Yeah, so I started my first company 15 years ago. I was part of the 4% of tech female CEOs in France and in Europe, I would say. Since then, we are barely 10%. So, okay, after 15 years, nothing really changed, unfortunately. Okay. So if we are continuing this way, it won't change a lot in 15 years from now. But where I'm optimistic by nature, but also I love that data world, and it's all about proofs and facts and data. And what I can tell you is that, so it's not just a theory, I'm trying to bring all those statistics. So if you have some statistics for me, please give it to me. Think about the fact that for years, for more than a decade, the marketing department, okay, where there is mostly the biggest amount of women. That marketing department was in charge of the communication of the ESG, CSR reports, okay? And they became the knowledgeable people in the company. So mostly female knowledgeable people when it comes to ESG and sustainability. From one day to another, because of regulations, because of the regulatory threat, reputational threat, we asked those women, to grow in the governance, of the company when it comes to those topics. And we've seen more and more chief sustainability officer, being women. And now think about the latest move of H&M, where the CSO, Chief Sustainability Officer, is now the CEO, because it's becoming so strategic from a communication standpoint as well, for the markets, but it's becoming so horizontal, to think about, okay, how you are transitioning to a low carbon economy, etc. So I think this is our time as women, and I think we will see that more and more CSO, becoming CEOs, and I think it's we will see that huge acceleration to have women, in the CEO seats. And I have more and more proof points. I also had the conversation with a CSO of a very large pharmaceutical group, and she told me, Rachel, but men started to understand as well that it was the hot seat, to be the CSO. So now they all want this role as well, because they think that there is a path to the CEO role. So yeah, but it's super interesting, and when you are browsing your LinkedIn, every ESG/sustainability roles, there is a huge amount of women at those positions. So, yeah, hopefully, this is the right path to change those statistics.
Exactly. Well, let's leave with a little bit of hope. Are you hopeful that we can stop and shift humanity's trajectory while restoring our damaged ecosystems?
I
know you're an optimist.
I'm an optimistic, but if you are reading all the IPCC reports or else, solutions do exist. Okay, so that's okay. Now it's a matter of what's our collective ambition. Okay, how we are doing as the CEOs of the big corporations, big agent of changes. How do we plan to connect all those dots between our action, our responsibility, to the solutions? How are we connecting that? So I believe that, of course, it's possible because I'm that digital kid, So of course I believe in that. Now it's a matter of willingness, of ambition of the company, but it's not impossible at all. Solutions do exist. You have people who are kind of part of the solution. This is what I'm working on every day, to mask that digital complexity for you, to connect all those dots to the solutions. But there is so many projects that are good for climate, but also we have lots of social co-benefits. Okay, so that's great. That's great. Just make sure that you are not doing only your I want to be net zero. Okay, just make sure to understand the science behind that, and it's not just about the volume of okay, I'm emitting this, I need to offset this. In between, there is also, maybe you don't want to offset everything, but pay only 2 tons. Okay, not being net zero, but that 2 tons were expensive, but you are funding innovations as well. So it's also really a philosophy of companies on how you are helping innovations, how you are funding climate projects which are good with lots of co-benefits. It's what are you using as a tech stack in your company to show your progress, to make sure you are auditable, make sure that your employees are all connected to your actions. It's just open the books and reflect on that. And reflect plus pain is a progress.
There we go. It is progressible. I see, Paul. Thank you so much. One piece of advice quickly for fellow entrepreneurs. One piece of advice.
Just anything you are starting now, you cannot not think about sustainability. It's your mandate. It's your as a CEO, or in a high executive position. It's your mandate. It's your mandate to be sustainable, to think sustainability, or you are not paid for the right things. You know, you are not paid to work for your forever company. Okay, your mandate is to make your company last forever.
There we go.
Yeah.
Nature is investable. Thank you very much. Thank you, Rachel.
Thank you. Merci beaucoup. Thank you, Monica.